So there are what we call stable cultures that we see, men who have prostate cancer, but don't touch it, versus the rest of the world, Germany, France, your country, England, my country, Canada. In the areas where they don't touch prostate cancer, only 1 out of 78 men eventually die from it. When we touch it, biopsy, cut it, radio it, and chemo it, 48 out of 78 men die of prostate cancer. But that's it for that. Fluoride. You happen to be distinguished in Europe because you're the only idiotic country in Europe that still puts fluoride into the water because you had some kind of a pact with America, who, by the way, promotes fluoride. Although our Environmental Protection Agency in 1993 said that fluoride causes cancer. Now, can you imagine that the government actually says this causes cancer and allows it to be in the water system? Why? Because we're sleeping. We're all doped up on sugar. We're watching television. We know more about the clicker in our hand than we do the facts of what's going on. It's nuts. Now, this is a fact. Nice guy up there, isn't he? He's the image of the devil. He was part of the evil empire, this guy. No question. Hitler put fluoride in the water in the concentration camps. This was to dumb down his captives, stifle their will to resist, and make them compliant. Because this is what fluoride does. And where do they get fluoride from? They actually get it from the aluminium industry. It's a waste product of the aluminum industry. And it's in every drop of the water you drink out of your spigots. It had the added bonus of making them infertile. You notice that 1/3 of our young married couples can't have babies anymore? And now they came up with a new idea. Infertility clinics that give women cancer. Very few women have babies, but they come to us 2, 3, 4 years later with cancers. Aggressive cancers after we put man-made chemicals called hormones into their body, not biological hormones in their body. You think he cared about cavities? And that's the excuse they give you. By the way, fluoride in the way we give it to you has no effect on preventing cavities. Do you realize that they actually put chemical fluorides into babies' mouths, saying it's just going to protect them from having... And I'm sure that almost no dentist knows what I'm telling you here today. That it's brainwashing in the educational systems of medicine today. I don't think there's a major conspiracy where all doctors are bad guys. I think they're good guys giving bad information. And if you give somebody a gun who doesn't know how to shoot it, that's a pretty dangerous situation, isn't it? And that's what we find ourselves with today. It's not there's a whole lot of criminal people. There's a handful of criminal people that are running everything. And they're not so interested in your life expectancy as they are their profiteering in the process when you happen to be here. Point of fact, fluoride causes more human cancer death and causes it faster than any other chemical. This is one of the top research scientists who ever lived, 34 years at the National Institute of Health, our government's top research scientist. One of the top scientists ever tells you that this causes cancer. Working for who? The government. Now, wouldn't you think if you were the Congress or the President or the Parliament, and somebody said to you, a scientist said to you, I'm sure there's been Irish scientists that told the Parliament this year, by the way, fluoride causes cancer. Why every other country in Europe banned it is because it causes cancer. It causes IQs to drop. It causes infertility. Your government has been told that at some point over the last few generations. How come we keep it up? Look at these other things we do. These are called beauty products. I don't know what's so beautiful. I guess you can be a more beautiful corpse by taking these things. If you actually see what's inside of perfumes, body lotions, sunscreens, deodorant, shampoo, lipstick, nail polish, hairsprays, cologne, aftershaves, you would think we're making it up. You would actually think you're making it. How many of you know that almost every commercial toothpaste has lead in it and fluoride in it? Now, I don't know any doctor, even if they flunked out of school, that doesn't know lead is bad for you. I don't know one, you know. How much insanity can go on without anyone saying anything? How come I'm the first one that ever told you that? And look at the side of commercial toothpaste. It says, do not swallow. When I was going on dates as a teenager, I used to take half the damn toothpaste, put it in my mouth, wash it around, and swallow it. How about you? How do you allow products on the market worldwide that are going to kill you like this? Give me a moment to think about that. Benefits of raw food. So why raw food? I'm a vegan, big deal. Being a vegan is much better than eating meat and dairy food and all that nonsense. But when you kill a food, you kill the nutrients in it. Period. You're killing it. And we know what's in it. We're the science guys. We know what's in it. We know that why this heals disease is because it has hormones in it, it has oxygen in it, it has phytochemicals in it, it has enzymes in it. And once you cook it, steam it. We're not talking about the way my mother cooked. There was not one vegetable I ever ate as a child that was identifiable. Those Sunday afternoon Irish dinners were like unbelievable. You know. I'd have to become a spear fisherman. Because my fork would have to go through the butter and find this stream bean that looked like it was killed 25 years ago. Remember that? Like lays there like this. And she said, you have to eat your vegetables. I don't know what the hell it was. When I had a fresh stream bean one time, I gagged. I said, what's that? They said, oh, you've been eating them since you were a kid. I said, I haven't been eating this. So you get the hormones, you get the oxygen, you get the fun. And by the way, there's science. Read the books, Life Force. I write about this. How many of you are academics or intellectuals or cerebrals here? I write books for you too. They're called Food is Medicine. I just pound their asses with this stuff. I pull research out of the top universities and show them that what we've been teaching for 60 years and applying successfully is coming out of the universities, the researchers say. It gives you more energy. How many of you have been on a raw food diet long enough to notice that? When you eat raw food, at first you're going to detoxify and feel worse. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be like a rotor-rooter coming in and shaking everything up. You give it 3 to 6 months, and you try to eat a little cooked food then, you're going to see what happens. You're going to feel like this. If I don't maintain at least an 80-90% raw food diet, I'm dragging my butt all the time. And you have to do it long enough. Not only when people say, well, I tried it 2 days, it didn't work. Keep eating the toothpaste, don't worry. Better digestion, healthy weight loss, clear skin. You know how we can tell somebody's on the diet? If they come back to us a year and a half, 2 later, and they're chubby and they say they're on the diet, they're liars. No question. Because healthy food like this is going to give you micronutrients, it's not going to give you fat. You're not fat on this kind of a diet. Even if you don't exercise, which is a dangerous thing, you still won't be fat. Clear skin. They could get rid of all of that nonsense for kids with acne. Balanced mood. Detox and cleanses the body. And it boosts the what? Let's say it, brethren. One more time. Yeah! The immune system. That's what this whole lecture is about. Did you know 2 ounces of wheatgrass is the equivalent of eating, that's wrong by the way, I have to scold her, 5 pounds. It's 5 pounds of fresh, raw, organic, green, leafy vegetables. But that's not her fault. We used to write 4 pounds. Now we learn more. Because guess who's doing it? You know who did the study on that? University of Southern California just did a study on that and corrected us. They said, Kai called me and said, we thought you were the experts on that. You've been wrong. I said, thank you. Here's my buddy. As a matter of fact, this gentleman and I are going over and signing the final papers in Europe on the continent for the first legitimate medical school in the history of modern medicine. And 3 years ago, we actually challenged one of Lithuania's medical schools to become legitimate. Because they were buttering us up, as they always do. Oh, we love you, we love what you do, you're saving lives, you're like heroic. And I listened, I said, what bullshit. And I said to the dean of the school and the dean of the medical school, listen, if you're serious that you love what you do, why are you teaching medical doctors to give drugs and not teaching what we do? I was stunned. They said, we will. I thought, oh, sure, that's going to work. They never stopped contacting us. And now, last year we sent Dr. Campbell over. The Minister of Health and the entire government is on board. And within 2 years, we're going to have a medical school in this world that when the doctor gets out after medical education, she or he is going to be writing prescriptions for sprouts, exercise, good attitude, herbal medicine, etc. And we already have people before the school is opening in Germany and in Italy telling us they want to have a second and a third school. That's how we change things. We don't change things thinking we're too weak to change things. We change the game by improving the game. And that's how we're going to do it. So here's what my buddy said. Now let me give you a little bit about Dr. Esselstyn, or as we call him, Esty. He was an extremely successful cardiovascular surgeon. He was making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And living it up. Living the fine life, as we say. All at once, he's a young man. They say, you have cardiovascular disease. Now the good news for all of us, he was brought up on a farm, so he didn't lose all of his senses. So as soon as he was told he had a heart problem, he said, I'm going to give up eating animals. So he goes and reports to all of his friends at the world-famous Cleveland Clinic, I'm going to give up eating animals. He said, oh, what are you, crazy? Yes? You must be nuts. Animals have nothing to do with it. There's no research anywhere that animals can create heart disease. He said, I'm doing it anyway. Now they got really angry at him. Because he pretty much said what he was making money for, and all of his colleagues, taking animal fat out of people's veins, was obsolete and shouldn't be happening. So they got so angry, they said, we're going to give you patients, and we're going to let you see through research whether or not they get well. So they give them the 10 worst patients they can find. Guys who have like whipped cream in their veins rather than openings. They all should have been dead already. He puts them on this kind of a diet. A year later, they all have veins like an 18-year-old boy or girl. Now what are they going to say? He doesn't stop. That was decades ago. Now he has hundreds and hundreds of cases where 100% of the people reverse cardiovascular disease, which isn't a disease, by giving up what? By giving up what? Please. And meat. Meat. Fish, chicken, pork, red meat, milk, ice cream, whipped cream, butter, yogurt, kefir. You want the list to keep going on? Cheese. Cheese. And here's what he says. Pretty poignant guy. Some people think the plant-based whole food diet is extreme. A lot of people walk out of here and say, boy, that guy, he was provocative and that was extreme. That's what people say when they don't want to change. Whenever I don't want to do something, I condemn the truth teller. Because it hurts to see what an asshole we've been. It really hurts to see how brainwashed we've allowed ourselves to get. I know I was there at one point. I was very sad that I was that stupid, that misled. I allowed myself to be misled. I wasn't being misled. I was asking to be misled. And here's what he said. But every single year, 500,000 people will have their chest cut open and a vein taken from their leg and sewn onto their coronary artery. Some people would call that extreme. Now, when people here in Ireland and people all over the world are told, by the way, we're going to cure your disease, heart disease, we're going to split your chest open, split your leg open, and sew a vein from your leg in there, not one person seems to say anything about it. But the same to 500,000 people, I'm sure that almost every single one of them, if I say, by the way, you have to eat vegetables, oh, that's extreme. That's how goofy we become. We become estranged from normality at this point. Normal is abnormal, and abnormal is normal at this point. Well, I talked about fluoride. Now, how many of you in this room knew that fluoride caused cancer? Okay, now keep those hands up. So in this room of Ireland, where you have fluoride in every drop of water, you only had 20% of you that knew. Now, the same people, keep your hands up. How many of you never ever touched tap water unless it's been distilled? Okay. So again, out of the 20% who were smart enough to know it causes cancer, you have 2 people in the back. Now, even the people that know are poisoning themselves intentionally. This is why we have a problem. This is why we have a problem. Are you healing yourself long-term, or you're just covering up the symptoms? That's the question. We'll go back to what we said early on. 95% of all diseases come from bad lifestyle. Are you going to change your lifestyle and get well? Or are you going to do a little bit? Because doing a little bit will give you a very little bit of results. Like people say to me, you know, I was told I was going to die of a disease, and you know, I'll do part of what you say. That's like me saying, you know, when you cut my leg off, only cut 80% through it. I'll try to walk on the 20% that's still there again. Is there any sense in this stuff? Stay on track. So let's give you all a hand for listening.